Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I have got you a really interesting endgame puzzle. While talking about endgames, the endgame is the most decisive part of the game, and it requires a certain precision to play. For example, a slight inaccuracy in the middle game probably won't lose you the game, whereas putting your king on a wrong square in a king and pawn endgame can cost you a great game. So this is the puzzle, guys. It's black to move and you should find the winning continuation from here. You can pause the video here and try to find it. I will start to explain in 3, 2, 1. So first things first, I will make it clear the pawns are moving like this and the black pawns are moving this way. If we talk about material advantage, white has the material advantage. Both sides have a rook. White has this little pawn chain in the king side, and white is up a knight for 2 pawns. Of course, white should be worried about this pawns rolling down the board. By looking at this position, one can say black is easily winning due to this pawn chain, but it is not the case. Let's see how it goes. A tempting move which comes to mind is pawn to g2, which is threatening the rook and threatening a promotion. But unfortunately, pawn to g2 move is not winning because of knight to f4 check. So the black king is forced to move to g4 and both of these pawns are under attack. You can capture the g2 pawn first, or it would be best to capture the h2 pawn because there is a x-ray tactic. So after the king moves, you can capture the rook, not worrying about this promotion because we have knight to h3 forking the queen and the king. Okay, so we now know pawn to g2 doesn't work. Okay, what about rook to c7? Trying to bring the rook around like this to maybe support this pawn push. Unfortunately, even that is not winning because white has this knight to f4 check. This square is covered, so black cannot move there. Black is forced to move to h4. Now knight to g2 check. Again, white can repeat the moves. And black really can't move away. That would stop the defense of g3 pawn. And if black loses both of this pawn, then it is not winning for black at all. So even rook to c7 is not working. What about rook to f7? It doesn't look like it is defending the pawn because it is attacked twice. Let's see what happens if knight takes f4. Now we have this rook sacrifice. Will it work? Of course, we have this pawn push. This is an issue for white because these two pawns on the second rank are unstoppable now. After the rook moves, we are simply promoting to a queen. And after white takes, we have a new queen, and this is simply losing for white. So if you think this is the end of the puzzle, it is not. It is far from over. Actually, it is not necessary to capture the pawn here. Instead, white can try to play this move. Now the only sensible move is this, trying to make a queen. And white has this rook to d8. The pawns are almost ready to promote to a queen. Let's say we make h1 queen, but then rook h8. The king is covering g3 and g4. The black king is suddenly boxed in. The only move is rook to h7, and now it's checkmate. It's the same case with g1 queen 2. Again, even the g2 square is covered by the king. Black has to be a little bit careful. The only winning move is pawn to g1 and promoting it to a knight. So it comes with a check. Now the king has only 2 squares left, because the pawn is covering these 2 squares and the knight is covering this square and the king is covering this one. So white has to choose between these two moves. If white stays in the light square, then h1 queen is simply winning. But white can go to f2, stopping h1 queen, because white has rook h8 check, picking up the queen in the corner. After king moves, white can simply take the queen on h1. Now the material is equal. Both sides have a knight and a rook and 2 pawns. So this is easily drawable. So after king to f2, black can simply play rook to h7, stopping rook h8. And white can give this check. We have king to g4. Now the best move according to the engine is knight to e2. Trying to go after this knight. Black can simply make a queen and black is completely winning in this position. So that was the puzzle. Hope you all liked it and learned something new. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.